My name is Pedram Hayati. I'm a security instructor teaching developer how to write a secure code. So most probably as a guy that some devs, they don't really like me to see in the room just because my job is to read a lot of code and find security bugs. And obviously telling how we can write a more secure way of these functionalities. I work at a company called LTAM, where what we do is pretty much helping development teams to embed security within their development lifecycle. And that's what we believe, that ad hoc penetration testing at the end of the project these days doesn't really do much job for you. You want to have security as part of your development lifecycle. So that's why we do a lot of security trainings. I started security as a hobby many years ago, and someone ended up paying me to do my hobby, which was good. And later on I do. Now, today I'm here to pretty much share one of my experiences, like many of my experiences with you. Output rendering is one of those, I guess, important topics which would be very relevant to the meetup here. I will tell you what output rendering is later on, but why it is important is because there's a lot of vulnerability classes is related to this. So what I mean by output rendering is any functionality that deals with the UI or UX. Either is a web page, or it is a web form, is a mobile app, is an email message that you send to the user. These are all, I categorize them as output rendering, okay? Now, when it comes to the security, there is a number of vulnerabilities, vulnerability classes. Let me use your terminology. It's more like a security, it's like a bug, it's defect classes that is related to the output rendering. You may have heard of cross-site scripting or XSS. Please put your hand up if you know what it is. Great. Click jacking. Has anyone heard of this one? Awesome. Tap checking. Heard about that? Awesome. Now Today I'm going to talk about template injection attacks specifically. This is a broad topic. Jess told me just short it to only 20 minutes, so I'm going to quickly go through everything. And hopefully if the demo works, I'm going to show you these things in real life. So what are templates? Let's talk about terminology first. Template engines effectively are quite popular way for us to quickly render something for a user. Very simple. They normally have an expression language that we use, and that expression language helps us to speed up the development and consistency of the code that we display to the user. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we didn't have such a thing. Now, by expression language, what I mean is there's a special purpose expression language that it has quite a high level access to the underlying code. So these expression languages can access pretty much any libraries and classes that you have defined in your code, and also any number of objects that stores maybe some user secrets. They have access to that as well. Although these expression languages only used to display something on a front end, we're going to see in a demo that what will happen if attacker use that to extract the user's secrets by using this expression language. Now, perhaps the most familiar expression language we know here is mustache. Curly bracket, expression, curly bracket. Or back in different languages like Java and like C, there are different expression languages that we use. Now, the nice thing is, yeah, they are all great. Anytime I hear about agile, about fast development, about being quick, prototyping, and stuff like that, I'm like, hang on a minute. Because we in a security, we play a catch-up game. The speed in which these developments you guys are working is amazing. But you need this system to go out, to be tested, and later on we need to figure out about the functionalities, about the security of that. And anytime it comes to these speed development, there is definitely some issues because we need to compromise on some stuff to be able to give usability out there. And I think every developer agrees with me that if the usability is not out there, who cares about the security? If something doesn't work, like whether it's secure or not, it doesn't really matter. So what I mean by this rich functionalities that I'm saying that attacker that can use. What things can go wrong? The second item on the board, up there could be a surprise to some people. Yes, the template engines can be abused by an attacker to run code or commands on a server. Yeah, these are the things that previously was a dream for the attacker. Because what you could do is, if there was some user input that was rendered on a page, at most what you could do, you could include a JavaScript tag, and perhaps you extract the session cookies from the browser. But now, because this template engine is so powerful, they have access to pretty much every part of the code or those expression languages, you can do things like execute the malicious code on the server. Or you can even talk with the backend database and extract some stuff. They are not superficial. I'm actually going to show it in a demo that how this can go wrong. Now, moving on, this talk is very quick. I just quickly talk about why this problem happens. The first and most is because we are using an untrusted data in an unsafe, unsecure manner. Most of the template engines that we are using, they allow for double evaluation of the expression, which you're going to see in a demo that what I mean by that. At the same time, most of the template engines that we have today, they do not do any escaping or any validation of the user data. So as a developer, if I don't do a validation of the data that I receive from untrusted source, and by untrusted source, I do not mean only the user data, the data that you receive from different components, different third-party APIs, they're all untrusted. There's a data that you do not have any control. So you need to make sure those data are validated and verified before you use in the application. I mean by that. And some of these template engines, they do have sandbox, but in practice, this sandbox just does not work. So it is completely up to us as a dev to make sure the data from the time that it starts, we receive from a user or that untrusted source to the way that is rendered on a web page is secured, it's sanitized, it's escaped. What type of vulnerabilities we are talking here? Server-side template injection. So if you are a PHP developer, if you are using something like Symfony, or if you are a Python developer, if you're using something like Jinja or things like that, these are the things that can happen on a site. Today, my focus is going to be on a client-side template injection. And for the sake of the meetup, I'm not going to use React, but I'm going to use Angular, yes, to show you how things going to go bad in Angular. Hopefully, in the next meetup, I'm going to show you in React, especially React Native, what can go wrong in the mobile apps. Expression language injections and human markup language injection. Everyone heard about Markdown, BB codes. We're going to see what really can go wrong with those languages if an attacker managed to control one of those fields that is being used and rendered by a user. Cool? So, moving on. Let's go skip. Client-side template injection. Simple. I'm using the JavaScript MVC framework to execute arbitrary JavaScript code targeting users of the system. Pretty simple. But in the worst case scenario, you can have a cross-site scripting. And cross-site scripting, you can use it to do what?
Malicious JavaScript.
Yeah, what you can do with that? You can extract the cookie sessions from the browser, so you can log in as that user. What else you can do with that? If you are able to inject malicious code, JavaScript code, in the user's browser. Hacker mindset.
Take their money.
Bad.
You can do whatever you want.
Mine Bitcoin.
Yeah,
Mine Bitcoin. That's a new one. That's a new one. What else can we do with JavaScript? You guys should know better than me. What can we do?
redirect them.
Redirect them to a phishing page and get their credentials. Yep. What else? Well, you can even inject a basic HTML form on the page. Hey, give me your credit card. And because the domain is exactly the same as a domain that user trusts, they will happily enter that detail. What else we can do with that?
Click hacking.
Sorry?
Behind the pole. You can't see me. Never mind.
Sorry. What can we do?
Click hacking. Have them
To click on different parts of the page?
Well, more so just have an eye track when they're typing the password. You can pretty much pick up what the password is and then just do a rainbow hash on every other password for that.
You talk about lots of keywords here, but yeah, you can do those things. Yeah, what else we can do with cross-site scripting? You can turn my screen off. What else can we do? Anyone here work on internal apps? That their job is to create internal sensitive applications? Put your hand up. Yeah. Do you care about the security of the internal apps? Here's one person. I mean, it's an internal app, right? Nobody cares about them. Do you think a cross-site scripting bug on a public-facing website or a domain that owns by a company can be used to target that internal app?
You can reuse any of their other sessions. So
exactly. Yes. Do you think an internal app can be attacked by external facing application which belongs to the company? And for example, an attacker would be able to send commands. If you are anyone using here Jenkins or Tomcat server or I don't know MongoDB internally, Elasticsearch, they are all internal, right? Nobody can see them from outside. By using cross-site scripting, the attacker would be able to send the command to that internal application. So cross-site scripting, maybe we had, they can just do the alert bugs, do the phishing attacks, but it can be quite interesting. And these things that I'm saying is not really hard to do. There are, like you guys, we have frameworks. There's a framework called BEEF, BE Browser Exploitation Framework, BEEF. You can set it up, it's open source, and it has all these libraries which put the point of the click. Once you find the cross-site scripting, you can run all these things that I said. You can extract the cookie, you can see what website the user visited, you can even send the command to the Tomcat server, to the Jenkins server, you can target the Elasticsearch internally, all these things. Now let's see what happened to my...
The display is still detected, but it's all
yeah.
it was scrolling these slides just before it went out.
Yep. Sorry about that. So, just bring my slides back up.
Just with it, it's going forward to a blank slide.
Yeah.
Go back in the slides.
Right. Okay, we were here. Sorry about the issue here. So, let's suppose we have this Angular template. I think this is how my programming skills go. So I define things like that. So Angularjs template, there's pretty much an expression over there. And imagine this is a user profile page. So once the user authenticates, we want to say, hey, hello, someone. So in a real scenario, in a very good way of using this software, that when a request comes like user goes to Alice, that expression will be rendering that Alice right there, right? What do you think happens if instead of Alice, someone will change that to an expression? So expression inside the expression. I think I'm being targeted. Really, what's really going on here? I don't know. You see? Maybe I shouldn't talk about these things here. I don't know. That's what you get. 2. So what happened? That AngularJS library actually thought that, this is an expression. Perhaps I need to verify it, I need to validate it, right? So, all right, that was interesting. Very interesting what's happening here. I'm most probably gonna connect my. So, now that is cool. So now, do you think we can modify that expression? I'm going up and down so this doesn't go blank. So, to change it to something that I can run a JavaScript. instead of that 1 plus 1.
Yes.
Now, what happens here, now the attacker has a full access to all the functionalities, AngularJS or whatever JSMVC that is being used to create that. So if he wants to see if JavaScript is executable on this page, we can just use something like that, a basic constructor. And this is really awful coding, but as long as it runs the JavaScript code, you are a winner. So constructor.constructor alert 1. And the AngularJS nicely convert that to, hello, script alert 1. And as an attacker, once you get that, that means game is over. Now you are able to run whatever JavaScript code that you want on a page. Now looking at that, why this is really bad is because looking at that request, and this request is like, is in URL, something is typed in. Now looking at that, do you see any script tag? Do you see any HTML tag? So if you have any backend library, like for example in PHP, that you were escaping for those meta characters, those dangerous characters, would they be effective now? No. And that's the issue here. Browsers, security library, backend security libraries, even some of the front-end security libraries, web application firewalls, all those security headers, they had a really good job to make cross-site scripting really, really hard to do. But when you have something like constructor.constructor alert 1, you can pretty much bypass all those filters. And that's the thing I wanted to send across, that all these frameworks are looking good and great, but they can be also used or abused for these attacks. And some people may hear they talk about, what about sandbox? Like some of these frameworks comes with a sandbox. Then sandbox is pretty much if an attacker enters something like alert 1, the sandbox is like, hey, I'm not supposed to run a JavaScript here. I want to kill it, right? But in theory, they look really, really good. In practice, sandboxes pretty much can be bypassed. AngularJS, the Google guys, they did an amazing job to write a sandbox. But after a couple of versions, they realized that this sandbox is not going to work. It's just going to make their code bulky. But by the end of the day, there would be a way for attacker to bypass this. Pretty much for every single version, from version of 0.5 or something up to version 1.6, there is a sandbox bypass for AngularJS. Then what they have decided in 2016, they're like, we're not going to do sandbox. We're going to completely remove sandbox from our library. So this is now completely up to the developers to make sure the input from the user is sanitized before it's being rendered on a page, which I believe is a great decision. You do not want to make a wrong or false sense of security. That, hey, I have a sandbox that can take care of everything. I think they did a good job here. Cool. I guess that was pretty much the theory aspect of my talk. Now, if my internet connection works, I'm going to talk a little bit about, I'll show you a bit of demo that how these things going to come together. I'm going to talk about two applications here. They are pretty identical. The first application does not have any AngularJS, is really badly written, just to show you how a basic cross-site scripting can work. So, how much time do I have?
About 8 minutes.
8 minutes? All right. So this is my first application. The first application is purposefully badly written by someone like me. And the purpose is to show basic cross-site scripting, that's what we can do with it. And my second application, which I'm going to show you, is have all the protection that you can imagine, backend, front-end, browsers, and we're going to see what, by even having all those things, the attacker would be able to bypass them all. A basic website seems like it tries to render some cars, or like information about the cars. And who do you think is the target audience of this website? Someone technical?
No.
Your sister, sorry.
Non-tech.
Non-tech.
Rich people by the looks of those cars.
Yeah, so, all right, let's just look what they have. So it seems like they have a listing of some cars, which if I click, that will be rendered, hopefully, yeah. And there's some information about the car. All right, makes sense. Let's go back. What else do we have here? Some listings, some contacts. Oh, there is a subscribe button here. Seems like it goes to the google.com. Okay, I'm not interested in that. But there is a one search functionality up here. Let's do a search for like Honda, Aston Martin, price model. All right, cool. So it seems like my search resulted to this page. Now, if you don't see this on the back, let me just bring up the magnifier. Now, yeah, sorry, I just have everything here. All right, so duplicate. All right, that's better. So what do you think is interesting in this example? Let's look at the URL. Let's read the URI a little bit. How do you think the page is being rendered? From the query, right? So what can we do now?
Change the parameters.
Change the model? Sorry?
Change the parameters.
Yep. So what do I change it to? Like, let's change, for example, the Aston Martin. What can I change this to? If I change it like to Toyota, what's going to happen? Oh, so it seems like whatever I'm typing up there is being rendered on a page. Interesting.
Script tag.
Let's play a little bit. What else can we do now?
Script.
Yeah, before that, what else can we do?
Numbers, calculation, whatever.
What if, so it seems like whatever I'm putting up there is being rendered. What if I, instead of text, I put some HTML characters here, like href, like, hey, I don't know, http, twitter.com/React Sydney here. And then I close this. And I said, okay, you will get a 25% off the retail price. Click now. And then I'll put like this interesting mixture of characters to comment the rest of the page. Woo. So if I give this URL to my user, what he's gonna see is this page with this link that I've injected on top, and it points to React. So they wouldn't even realize that I'm gonna redirect them to a different page. Well, that sounds cool, but I'm not gonna stop here. Now let's go to script tag. So what to do with the script tag? So what do you mean by script tag? Now I can inject a JavaScript to this page as an attacker. And then I can give this to someone and say, hey, this is an awesome deal. Do you want to click on it? So I need a user all the time. What is script tag? You guys are JavaScript gurus. You know better than me what I can do. But here, unfortunately, I don't have any library. So you need to really think very in a traditional way. So. Yeah, JavaScript, yes. Now, what would you, if I want to extract a user's session, like their cookie, what I can do? Okay, document like cookie. Let's just create an alert and then put like document. And then script, right? Wait, that is my session being up there displayed. Well, this is cool, awesome. I want to give it to someone. It is my session.
Form,
what I can do?
Form, stick the value in a hidden field.
It's too much work. Too much work.
Link an invisible image, pass it in as a parameter.
Right, that was a bad idea. So this is my image tag. I can inject any HTML entity I want. Yep. So
Source, whatever you're tracking in
I want document cookie. Do you think in an image tag I can run document.cookie to extract document cookie? What was that?
On error.
Very good, very good, very good. So what to do? What is the source?
The source is nothing.
Beautiful. Yeah, very good. Yeah, on error.
On error is actually document.
Yeah. All right. So just make it simplify this. This source equals to what? Let's just use something like I normally use. I need an external facing endpoint to be able to extract this cookie. So I'm sure this website is used for different purposes, but for me, to extract the cookies. A new URL. Create a new URL. You know what to do, just okay, so I have a fresh new URL. This is pretty much an endpoint. Oh, this has cached everything. Anyway, just ignore all the previous requests to this website. Where whatever request comes to this endpoint, I'm gonna see from there. So this is a really good one because I can send it to someone and just say, hey, click on this, and they will be, then I can watch this website anytime they click, I can see their cookie. So let's put this one right here. And perhaps let's define a parameter called C equals to what, this. Yeah. I see it up there. So then what I need after this? Document.cookie. Do you think that plus sign gonna make a problem there? Because plus means space, right?
Yeah, so put them in an array and then dot join.
What?
Can you escape?
Talk basic.
Can you use a URL encoders?
Exactly. These are like the details of hacking, right? You are encoded and you are winning. Percentage 2B from what I remember. So what will happen is this will render a hidden image. And obviously the image is 404, is not font. And then it will run the attribute on this source, an error, and that will set the source to that webhook website that I have with the document cookie. Is this gonna work?
Try it.
No, we'll just, let's try. Let's go back to here. Let's just see. Doesn't seem like it's working because there's no. Let's try it again. Do I see any request to the website.hook here? No.
Maybe it's because of the quotes. You've got 2 quotes in the start and an end.
Very good. Very good. That's true. Let's try it again. No, it doesn't seem like to be working. Let's have a look, see what we have here. This one, why this code here doesn't. Percentage 27. Try again. Yeah, is it? Something is being sent to here. Request received, blah, blah. Okay, stop. Right. Enough. So if I look at my final request here, you can see me here. This is my IP address, where the request come from. And if you could look at the URI, you can see the session cookie right up there. Okay, this all sounds cool, but these are all my session. How can I send it to someone in that company to click on it? Done? Nearly time. All right, quickly. There's a contact page. Maybe I can use this contact page to do that. All right, error. Hi, there is an error in the following web page. Here we go. Thanks. Do you think they're gonna click on this? Maybe I hired someone now, debating the, let's see. So let's just look at our late final request here just to make sure. All right, the way that I look at it is I'm just looking at the IP address. So this is the IP of my the hotspot here. Let's see if this is gonna work. Hopefully it's going to work. Submit. What happened here? All right, we will processing your message with the subject error shortly. Let's see. Have they processed it? Yay! Here you go, a new IP address. So someone actually reviewed that message, click on the link, and if you look at the session, which later on we're going to talk about, there's a different session ID here. So now I can extract this session ID. Do you want me to do it, or do I shut it off?
We're out of time, sorry.
All right, we're running out of time. Sorry. Thank you very much.